My name is Alex, and I used to believe that when someone you love asks for space, you should give it to them without question. That trust means accepting their explanations at face value, even when your gut tells you something's wrong. That love means putting their needs above your own suspicions. I learned the hard way that some requests for space are actually requests for permission to cheat. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insane, true stories of betrayal and revenge. My wife Elena and I had been married for 5 years, together for 8. We'd built what I thought was a solid life together. Good jobs, nice house, shared dreams about the future. Elena worked as a marketing manager for a tech startup, and I was a project manager at a construction company. For the past month, Elena had been acting strange. Distant phone calls, working late more often, checking her phone constantly, and turning it face down when I walked by. Classic signs that something was wrong, but when I'd asked about it, she'd brushed me off. Just work stress, she'd say. You know how crazy things get during product launches. But I knew Elena's work schedule, and there was no major product launch happening. The conversation that changed everything happened on a Thursday evening. I was making dinner when Elena came home looking unusually nervous. Alex, we need to talk. I turned off the stove and gave her my full attention. What's going on? I've been thinking a lot lately about us, about our relationship, about where we're heading. My stomach dropped. Okay, I think we need to take a pause. A pause? Just for a little while, to clear our heads, to figure out what we really want. I stared at my wife of 5 years, trying to process what she'd just said. What kind of pause? Just some space, some time apart to think about things. Elena, what's brought this on? I thought we were happy. We are happy, or we were, I don't know. I'm confused about everything right now. Confused about what? About us. About whether this is what I want for my life. About whether we're right for each other, long term. Where is this coming from? Did something happen? Nothing happened. I need space to think clearly. Being together all the time makes it hard to see things objectively. I looked at this woman I'd loved for 8 years, who was asking for permission to step away from our marriage to think clearly. How long is a little while? I don't know, a week, maybe 2? And during this pause, what are the rules? What do you mean? I mean, are we separated? Are we dating other people? Are we just living apart? What does a pause mean exactly? Elena looked uncomfortable. I hadn't really thought about the details. I just know I need some space. Elena, you can't just put our marriage on pause without defining what that means. Why not? Why does everything have to be so rigid and defined? Because we're married. Because I need to know where I stand. You stand exactly where you've always stood. I just need some time to think. About whether you want to be married to me. About what I want from life. And you can't figure that out while living with your husband? Apparently not. Or I wouldn't be asking for space. I walked to the kitchen window and looked out at our backyard. The garden Elena had planted last spring was in full bloom. We'd talked about adding a deck next year, maybe starting a family. Alex, please don't make this harder than it needs to be, Elena said behind me. How am I making it hard? By asking all these questions. By acting like this is some huge catastrophe. My wife asking for a break from our marriage isn't a huge catastrophe. It's not a break from our marriage. It's just a pause, a chance to breathe. Where will you stay? I can stay with my sister for a while. And what about our plans? The vacation we booked for next month? The dinner with your parents this weekend? We can figure all that out later. Elena, this doesn't make sense. People don't just randomly decide they need a pause from their marriage unless something specific has happened. Maybe I'm just having a quarter-life crisis or something. You're 32. A third-life crisis then, I don't know, Alex. I just know I need some space to think. About us. About everything. I turned back to face her. If that's what you need, then that's what you need. Elena looked surprised. Really? You're okay with this? I'm not okay with it. But if you need space to figure out whether you want to be married to me, then you should have that space. Thank you. I know this is hard, but I think it's for the best. When do you want to start this pause? Tonight, if that's okay? Tonight? I've already talked to my sister, she's expecting me. So this wasn't a spontaneous decision. Elena had been planning this, discussing it with her sister, making arrangements, all without involving me in the conversation until it was time to execute her plan. "I'll pack some things," she said, heading upstairs. I stood in our kitchen, surrounded by the dinner I'd been making for both of us, trying to understand what had just happened. 20 minutes later, Elena came downstairs with 2 suitcases. "I'll call you in a few days," she said. "Elena, can I ask you something?" "Sure. Is there someone else?" She paused with her hand on the doorknob. "What kind of question is that?" "A direct one. Is there someone else?" "No, Alex, there's no one else. This is about me needing space to think." "Okay. I love you. I hope you know that." "I love you too." And she was gone. I sat down at our dining room table and tried to process what had just happened. My wife had asked for a pause from our marriage, packed her bags, and left, all in the span of an hour. But here's what Elena didn't know. I'd been married to her for 5 years. I knew her tells, her patterns, her ways of deflecting when she was being dishonest. And everything about this conversation had felt rehearsed and evasive. The phrase pause instead of break or separation, the vague timeline, the refusal to define what the pause meant, the immediate departure to her sister's house. And most tellingly, the question about whether there was someone else had made her defensive rather than understanding. In my experience, innocent people don't get defensive when asked direct questions. They get hurt or confused, but not defensive. So I made a decision that would prove to be the smartest thing I'd done in months. Instead of chasing Elena, calling her constantly, or begging her to reconsider, I was going to give her exactly what she'd asked for. Space. All the space she could handle. The first day without Elena was strange, but not unpleasant. I'd been so focused on her moods and needs for the past month that it was almost refreshing to come home to a quiet house and not have to navigate someone else's emotional turbulence. I ordered pizza, watched a movie she would have hated, and went to bed early. The second day, I decided to run some errands I'd been putting off. I needed to pick up dry cleaning, grocery shop, and stop by the hardware store for some supplies for a project I'd been wanting to tackle. It was at the grocery store that I ran into Elena's coworker, Jenny. "Alex, how are you? Where's Elena?" "She's taking some time to visit family." "Oh, that's nice. She's been so stressed lately with everything going on." "Everything going on?" "You know, the work situation, all the late meetings and client dinners. She's been putting in so many hours." "Right, the client dinners. I swear, some of these clients are so demanding, wanting to meet at all hours, always at fancy restaurants. Elena's been such a trooper about it." "Has she? Which clients specifically?" Jenny looked confused. "Well, I'm not really sure of the details. I just know she's been working a lot of evenings lately." "With the whole team?" "Oh no, usually it's just Elena. She's been handling the high-maintenance accounts personally." "Interesting. Well, tell her I said hi when you talk to her." After Jenny walked away, I stood in the cereal aisle thinking about what she'd said. Elena had been having client dinners that her coworker didn't know the details about. Elena was handling high-maintenance accounts that required evening meetings at fancy restaurants. But here's what I knew about Elena's job. She managed social media campaigns for tech startups. Her clients were all small companies run by 20-somethings who communicated primarily through Slack and email. None of them were the type to demand fancy dinner meetings. So what were these mysterious client dinners? That evening, I decided to do something I'd never done before. I drove by Elena's sister's house to see if she was actually staying there. Elena's car wasn't in the driveway. I parked across the street and waited. Maybe she'd gone out to dinner with her sister or to run errands. At 9 p.m., Elena's sister came home alone. At 10 p.m., the lights in the house went out. Elena's car never showed up. So where was my wife spending her first night of our pause? The next day, I called Elena's sister directly. "Hi, Maria, it's Alex." "Alex, how are you? This whole situation with Elena must be so hard for you." "It is. I was hoping I could talk to her, but she's not answering her phone. Is she around?" There was a pause. Alex, Elena's not here." "She's not?" She left this morning to run some errands. She should be back later. When did she arrive last night? I drove by around 9 and didn't see her car. Another pause. She got in very late, after midnight. Where was she? I think she said something about having dinner with a friend. Which friend? I don't know, Alex. I didn't ask for details. But I could hear it in Maria's voice. She was lying. Or at least, she was uncomfortable with whatever story Elena had told her to tell. Maria, is Elena actually staying with you? Of course she's staying with me. Where else would she be staying? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Alex, I think maybe you should talk to Elena directly about this. I'm trying to. She's not answering her phone. Well, I'm sure she'll call you back when she's ready. After I hung up, I sat in my home office thinking about the conversation. Maria had been evasive, uncomfortable, and clearly operating from a script Elena had given her. Which meant Elena wasn't really staying at her sister's house, or if she was using it as a home base while she did other things. Things that involved being out until after midnight on client dinners that her coworkers didn't know about. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. I was going to find out what Elena was really doing during our pause. Saturday evening, I decided to conduct a little experiment. If Elena was really just taking space to think about our relationship, she'd probably be spending quiet evenings at her sister's house, maybe going out for casual dinners or coffee with female friends. But if she was using our pause as cover for something else, she'd probably be doing something very different on a Saturday night. I drove to the downtown area where Elena liked to go for special occasions. Upscale restaurants, trendy bars, the kind of places she'd suggest when we wanted to celebrate something important. I was driving slowly down 5th Street, scanning the restaurant patios when I saw her. Elena was sitting at an outdoor table at Marcello's, an expensive Italian restaurant we'd been to exactly twice in our entire relationship, both times for anniversaries. She wasn't alone. She was sitting across from a man I recognized but couldn't immediately place. Tall, dark hair, expensive suit. They were leaning across the table toward each other, talking intimately, laughing. As I watched, the man reached across the table and took Elena's hand. She didn't pull away. Instead, she squeezed his hand back and smiled at him with an expression I hadn't seen on her face in months. Pure joy. The kind of happiness that comes from being with someone who makes you forget about everything else in the world. Then it hit me who the man was. David Chen, Elena's ex-boyfriend from college. Elena had dated David for 2 years before we met. They'd lived together, talked about marriage, planned a future together. Then David had gotten a job offer in Seattle, and Elena had chosen to stay here for graduate school. It was the right decision for both of us, Elena had told me early in our relationship. Long distance would have killed what we had. Better to end on a good note. She'd spoken about David the way people talk about a favorite movie from their childhood, with fond nostalgia but no current relevance. Or so I'd thought. I parked across the street and watched them for 20 minutes. The way Elena touched David's arm when she laughed. The way he looked at her like she was the most fascinating person in the world. The way they both leaned in close to hear each other over the restaurant noise. This wasn't a casual dinner between old friends. This was a date. My wife was on a romantic date with her ex-boyfriend while on a pause from our marriage to clear her head. I took photos with my phone, documenting the scene. Elena holding David's hand across the table. David kissing Elena's fingers. Elena laughing with that radiant expression I rarely saw anymore. Then I drove home and began planning my response. Elena wanted a pause? Fine. I was going to give her a permanent one. Sunday morning, I woke up with absolute clarity about what needed to happen. Elena had asked for a pause from our marriage so she could pursue a relationship with her ex-boyfriend. She'd lied about staying at her sister's house, lied about needing space to think, and lied about there being no one else. But most importantly, she'd assumed I would sit at home like a loyal dog, waiting for her to decide whether she wanted to come back to me or upgrade to David. She was wrong about that. I started by calling a locksmith. I need my locks changed today, I told them. Emergency situation? The dispatcher asked. Something like that. We can have someone there in 2 hours. Perfect. Next, I called my bank. I need to remove someone from my joint accounts, I told the customer service representative. Are you an authorized account holder? It's my account. I added my wife 5 years ago and now I need to remove her. I can help you with that. You'll need to come in with identification to sign the paperwork. I'll be there when you open tomorrow morning. Then I called our insurance company, our credit card companies, and our cell phone provider. Elena's name was coming off everything. If she wanted independence, she could have complete independence. While I was making these calls, Elena texted me, "How are you doing? I know this is hard, but I think the space is good for both of us." I stared at the message for a long time. Elena was texting me about how good our separation was while she was probably lying in bed with David, planning their future together. I typed back, "I'm doing well. Take all the time you need. Thank you for being so understanding. I love you." I didn't respond to that. The locksmith arrived at 2 p.m. and had both locks changed within an hour. I now had the only keys to our house. "Domestic situation?" he asked as he packed up his tools. My wife decided she needed space to explore other options. They always do. Good luck, man. After he left, I walked through our house, looking at our shared life with new eyes. The photos from our wedding where Elena looked happy but not radiant. The furniture we'd picked out together, with Elena always pushing for more expensive options. The bedroom where we'd slept together for 5 years while she apparently fantasized about being with David. This was the last time I'd see our life together intact. I spent the rest of Sunday packing Elena's belongings. Clothes, shoes, personal items, books. Everything that belonged to her went into boxes and suitcases. I was methodical and respectful. I didn't want to damage anything or give her grounds to claim I'd been vindictive. I just wanted her gone. By evening, Elena's entire presence in our house was packed into containers and stacked neatly by the front door. 4 suitcases, 6 boxes, and a garment bag containing all her work clothes. Then I sat down to wait. Monday morning, I took the day off work to handle the financial arrangements. At 9 a.m. sharp, I was at the bank removing Elena from our joint accounts. By noon, I'd transferred all shared funds into my personal account and closed everything we'd opened together. Elena's credit cards were canceled. Her phone was disconnected. Her access to our shared streaming accounts was revoked. If she wanted to start a new life with David, she could start from scratch. At 2 p.m., I got the first panicked call. "Alex, my credit card isn't working. There must be some mistake." "There's no mistake." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I canceled your credit cards." "You can't do that. Those are my cards, too." "They were cards on my account that I'd added you to. I removed you." "Why would you do that?" "Because you asked for space to figure out what you want. I'm giving you complete freedom to explore your options without being financially tied to me." "That's insane. I need those cards." "Then ask David for help." There was a long silence. "What are you talking about?" "I saw you, Elena, Saturday night at Marcello's, having a romantic dinner with your ex-boyfriend." "Alex, I can explain." "You don't need to explain anything. You asked for a pause, remember? You're free to date whoever you want." "It's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think. You wanted space to rekindle your relationship with David without having to deal with the messy business of divorcing me first." "That's not true." "Elena, I saw him kiss your hand. I saw you holding hands across the table. I saw the way you looked at him." "You were spying on me?" I was trying to understand why my wife suddenly needed a pause from our marriage. Now I understand. "Alex, please, let me come home and we can talk about this." "You can't come home." "What do you mean I can't come home?" "I mean I changed the locks. Your key doesn't work anymore." "You changed the locks?" "Alex, that's my house too. Actually, it's my house. The mortgage is in my name. The deed is in my name. You never contributed to the down payment." "But I live there." "You lived there as my wife. Since you're taking a pause from being my wife, you don't live there anymore." "Alex, this is crazy." "What's crazy is asking your husband for space so you can date your ex-boyfriend." "I'm not dating David. What would you call romantic dinners and hand-holding?" "We were just talking." "About what?" About old times, about what happened between us. About getting back together?" "I don't know, maybe. I'm confused." "Well, you can be confused somewhere else." "Alex, please. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have gone to dinner with David, but it doesn't mean anything. It means everything, Elena. Please let me come home. Please let me explain. Your things are packed. They're by the front door. You can pick them up when I'm not there. You packed my things. You said you needed space. I'm giving you all the space you could possibly want. Alex, please don't do this. Please don't end our marriage over one dinner. I'm not ending our marriage, Elena. You ended it when you asked for a pause so you could explore other options. But I choose you. I choose our marriage. You choose me now that you realize there are consequences to your choices. That's not the same thing as choosing me. Please, Alex, I love you. I want to come home. You love the security I provide. You love having a backup plan. But you don't love me enough to be faithful to our marriage. I've been faithful. Elena, you've been having romantic dinners with your ex-boyfriend while lying to me about needing space to think. It was one dinner. How many times have you seen David since you asked for our pause? Silence. Elena, how many times? I don't see how that's relevant. It's relevant because you're lying to me again. I'm not lying. How many times have you seen David in the past 3 days? We've talked a few times. In person? Yes. How many times? I don't know. A few times. Every day? Alex, this is ridiculous. Every day, Elena? Yes, okay? Every day, but it's not what you think. What do I think? You think I'm having an affair? Are you? No, we're just reconnecting. Reconnecting romantically. Reconnecting as friends who used to mean something to each other. And what do you mean to each other now? I don't know yet. But you're exploring the possibility. I'm exploring my feelings. For another man. For someone who used to be important to me. While married to me. While taking a pause from being married to you. Elena, there's no such thing as taking a pause from being married. You're either married or you're not. That's not true. People take breaks all the time. People who want to cheat without feeling guilty take breaks. I'm not cheating. What would you call what you're doing? I'd call it figuring out what I want. By dating your ex-boyfriend. By spending time with someone who helps me remember who I used to be. And who were you? I was happy. I was excited about life. I was passionate about things. And you're not happy with me? I'm uncomfortable with you. Comfortable? Yes. And with David, you're passionate. With David, I'm alive. There it was. The truth she'd been hiding. Then go be alive with David, Elena. What? Go be with the man who makes you feel passionate and alive. Go be with the man you really want. I want you. No, you want to not have to make a difficult choice. But the choice has already been made. What choice? You chose David the moment you asked me for a pause so you could spend time with him. I didn't choose David. You chose to prioritize exploring your feelings for him over honoring your commitment to me. I was confused. You're still confused. That's why you need to go figure it out somewhere else. Alex, please, I'm begging you, don't do this. Elena, go to David's house. Go see if he wants to build a life with you. Go see if your college romance can survive in the real world. What if it can't? Then you'll learn something about yourself. And what about us? There is no us anymore. Alex, Elena, I have to go. Your things will be by the front door. Pick them up whenever you want. I hung up and turned off my phone. For the first time in 3 days, I felt at peace. Tuesday passed quietly. I worked from home, tackled some projects I'd been putting off, and enjoyed the silence of a house without secrets or lies. Wednesday, Elena tried calling from different numbers. I didn't answer any of them. Thursday morning, exactly 72 hours after Elena had asked for our pause, I was making coffee when I heard a car pull into my driveway. I looked out the window and saw Elena's car. She sat there for about 5 minutes before getting out. She looked terrible, hair unwashed, no makeup, wearing sweatpants and a wrinkled t-shirt. She walked slowly to my front door and knocked softly. Alex? Alex, I know you're in there. Please talk to me. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. What do you want, Elena? I want to come home. This isn't your home anymore. Please, Alex. I made a terrible mistake. David and I... It didn't work out. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Are you really sorry? I'm sorry you're going through a difficult time. Alex, I was wrong. I was so wrong about everything. What were you wrong about? I was wrong about needing space. I was wrong about David. I was wrong about what I wanted. And what do you want now? I want my husband back. I want my marriage back. I want to come home. Why? What do you mean, why? I mean, why do you want to come back? What's changed since Saturday night when you were holding David's hand at Marcello's? Elena started crying. David doesn't want the same things I want. What things? He doesn't want to get married again. He doesn't want kids. He just wants to have fun. And you realized this over the past 3 days? Yes. So you're back because David rejected you. I'm back because I realized you're the man I want to be with. After spending 3 days trying to make it work with him. After realizing that what we had in college isn't what I want now. And what do you want now? I want stability. I want partnership. I want someone who loves me enough to build a life with me. You want security. I want love. You want the love that comes with a retirement plan and health insurance. That's not fair. Elena, you left me for your ex-boyfriend and came back when he didn't want to commit to you. How is that not settling for security after passion didn't work out? Because I love you. Because I realized that what we have is real. What we had was real. What you destroyed is real. What we could rebuild would be fake. Why would it be fake? Because you'd always wonder if you made the right choice. You'd always compare me to David. You'd always think about what might have been. No, I wouldn't. Elena, you spent our entire marriage thinking about David. You asked for a pause the moment you had a chance to be with him. What makes you think that would change now? Because I know now that he's not right for me. And I know now that I'm not right for you either. What do you mean? I mean, you called me comfortable. You said David made you feel alive. You can't unsay those things. I was confused. You were honest. Alex, please, I know I hurt you. I know I made terrible choices, but we can get past this. No, we can't. Why not? Because I don't want to be married to someone who sees me as their consolation prize. You're not my consolation prize. I'm the man you came back to when your first choice didn't work out. You're the man I realized I loved. After 3 days of trying to love someone else. That's not how it happened. How did it happen, Elena? I was confused about my feelings. I thought maybe what David and I had was stronger than what you and I have. I was wrong. You thought maybe you could upgrade from me to him. I thought maybe I'd married the wrong person. And now you think you married the right person? Yes, not because you love me, but because David doesn't want you. Because I realized that you're the one I want to build a life with. Elena, I don't want to build a life with someone who had to explore other options to appreciate what we had. But I appreciate it now. You appreciate it now because your other option fell through. That's not true. If David had asked you to move in with him, would you be standing on my porch right now? Elena couldn't answer. If David had proposed to you yesterday, would you be here begging me to take you back? That's hypothetical. It's relevant, because it shows that you're not choosing me. You're defaulting back to me. I am choosing you. You're choosing me because you don't have any better options. Alex, please, I love you. I want to be your wife. You want to be my wife now that being David's girlfriend didn't work out? I want to be your wife because I realized our marriage is worth fighting for. You realized our marriage is worth fighting for after you spent 3 days trying to destroy it. I wasn't trying to destroy it. You asked for a pause so you could date your ex-boyfriend. How is that not trying to destroy it? I was trying to figure out what I wanted. You figured out what you wanted. You wanted David. He didn't want you back the same way. So now you're here. Alex, I'm begging you, please give me another chance. I looked at this woman who had asked for space to cheat on me, spent 3 days with her ex-boyfriend, and was now on my porch crying because her backup plan had fallen through. Elena, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Okay. You asked for a pause from our marriage. I gave you exactly what you asked for. I didn't want this. You wanted space to explore your feelings for David without the guilt of cheating on your husband. That's not what I wanted. That's exactly what you wanted, and that's exactly what you got. But I realized I made a mistake. You realized David wasn't going to rescue you from your boring marriage to me? Alex, please don't do this. I'm not doing anything, Elena. You did this. You chose to prioritize your feelings for another man over your commitment to me. I choose you now. You're settling for me now. I'm not settling. Elena, You spent 3 days trying to make it work with the man you really wanted. When that didn't work out, you came back to your reliable, comfortable husband. How is that not settling? Because I love you. You love what I represent. Safety, security, someone who won't abandon you when things get complicated. I love you. You love the idea of being married to me. You don't love being married to me. That's not true. Elena, if it was true, you never would have asked for a pause. If you loved being married to me, the idea of spending time with David wouldn't have been tempting. People can be tempted without acting on it. You did act on it. You asked me for space so you could act on it guilt-free. Alex, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't throw away 5 years of marriage. I'm not throwing away anything. You already threw it away when you chose to pursue David. I didn't pursue David. Elena, you spent 3 days with him trying to rekindle your college romance. That's the definition of pursuing him. It was a mistake. It was a choice. Multiple choices. Every time you met with him, every time you held his hand, every time you lied to me about what you were doing, those were all choices. I know I made bad choices, but I can make better choices now. The time to make better choices was before you destroyed our marriage. Our marriage isn't destroyed. Yes, it is. You destroyed it the moment you decided exploring your feelings for another man was more important than honoring your commitment to me. Please, Alex, please give us another chance. I looked at Elena, crying on my porch, begging me to let her back into the life she'd abandoned 3 days earlier. Elena, I want you to go. Go where? Anywhere. Figure out your life. Figure out what you really want. But figure it out somewhere else. I know what I want. I want you. You want me because David didn't want you. That's not true. If David called you right now and said he'd changed his mind about commitment, would you still be standing here? Elena couldn't answer. That's what I thought. Alex, I love you. Please don't give up on us. I'm not giving up on us, Elena. There is no us anymore. You made sure of that when you asked for a pause. But people take breaks and get back together all the time. People who take breaks to cheat on their spouses don't get back together. They get divorced. I didn't cheat. You had an emotional affair while lying to me about needing space. It wasn't an affair. What would you call 3 days of romantic dinners and hand-holding with your ex-boyfriend? I'd call it a mistake. I'd call it choosing him over me. But I'm choosing you now. You're choosing me because you don't have any other options. Please, Alex, I'm begging you, don't do this. Elena, I want you to leave now. Where am I supposed to go? Back to David's. Back to your sister's. I don't care. Just not here. Alex. Elena, this conversation is over. Elena, this conversation is over. I turned to walk back inside, but she grabbed my arm. Wait, Alex, wait, there's something else I need to tell you. I stopped and looked at her hand on my arm. Let go of me, Elena. Please, just listen. Let go. She released my arm but stepped closer. David recorded us. The words hit me like ice water. What? The night we were together. He recorded it on his phone. I stared at her, processing what she'd just said. You slept with him. Alex, You slept with him, after swearing to me there was nothing physical happening. It was only once, and now he's threatening to... Threatening to what? To send the video to my work, to my family, to you. I let out a laugh that had no humor in it. So you didn't come back because you realized you loved me. You came back because David is blackmailing you. No, that's exactly why you're here. Your ex-boyfriend is threatening to destroy your reputation, so you need your reliable husband to protect you. Alex, he's demanding money, $50,000. For what? To delete the video. And you want me to pay it? I don't have $50,000. You closed all my accounts? So let me understand this correctly. You asked for a pause from our marriage to have an affair with your ex-boyfriend. You slept with him. He recorded it without your consent. Now he's blackmailing you. And you want me, the husband you betrayed, to pay your blackmail money. When you put it like that, how else would I put it? Alex, please, if that video gets out, it'll destroy my career. My family will disown me. You should have thought about that before you had an affair. It wasn't an affair. We were on a pause. Elena, there is no pause from marriage. You cheated on me. You had sex with another man while you were married to me. I thought we were separated. We were never separated. You asked for space to think, not permission to sleep with other men. Elena was sobbing now, mascara running down her face. Alex, he said he loved me. He said he wanted to get back together. And then he recorded you having sex and is now extorting you for money. I didn't know he was recording. Of course you didn't. Because David Chen is a predator who saw an opportunity to exploit a woman going through a crisis. Then you understand why I need help? I understand why you're in trouble, but your problems aren't my problems anymore. Alex, I'm your wife. No, you're not. You stopped being my wife the moment you decided to explore other options. Please, I'll do anything. I'll sign a postnup. I'll go to counseling. Elena, stop. I'll quit my job. We can move somewhere else. Start fresh. Elena, I said stop. Please don't let him destroy me. I'm not letting him do anything. You put yourself in this situation. But you could fix it. I could fix it, but I'm not going to. Elena looked at me like I'd slapped her. What kind of man lets his wife get destroyed like this? The kind of man whose wife betrayed him, lied to him, and only came back when her affair partner turned into a predator. Alex, please, I'm begging you. I'll never ask you for anything else again. You're right, you won't, because this is the last conversation we're ever going to have. What do you mean? I mean, I'm filing for divorce tomorrow morning. No, Alex, no, please. Elena, you made your choice. You chose David over me. The fact that David turned out to be a predator doesn't undo that choice. But I choose you now. You're defaulting back to me because you're in crisis. That's not choosing me. I love you. You love what I can do for you. You love my stability, my income, my willingness to solve your problems. That's not true. Elena, if David wasn't blackmailing you right now, would you be standing on my porch? She couldn't answer. If David had simply said, let's be together but keep it quiet, would you have ever come back to me? I don't know. Yes, you do know. You'd still be with him, lying to me about needing more time to think. Alex, the only reason you're here is because your affair exploded in your face and you need someone to clean up the mess. Please don't abandon me. I'm not abandoning you. You abandoned our marriage. I'm just accepting reality. Elena fell to her knees on my porch. Alex, I'll do anything. Anything at all. Please don't let my life be destroyed over one mistake. Elena, get up. Not until you agree to help me. Then you're going to be on your knees for a long time. Alex, that video, it's not just me in it. If it gets out, people will know I cheated on you. They'll pity you. They'll ask you questions. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Are you trying to manipulate me by saying this will embarrass me too? I'm saying we both have reasons to want that video to disappear. Elena, let me be very clear about something. I don't care if the whole world knows you cheated on me. My conscience is clear. But your reputation? My reputation will be fine. I'm the loyal husband whose wife had an affair during a pause she requested. If anything, people will sympathize with me. Alex, please. Elena, I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. She looked up at me from her knees, hope flickering in her eyes. I will not pay your blackmail money. I will not protect you from the consequences of your choices. I will not clean up the mess you made when you decided to sleep with your ex-boyfriend. Alex, I will, however, give you some free advice. What? Go to the police, report David for revenge porn and extortion. Both are felonies. I can't do that. Why not? Because then everyone will know what happened. Elena, everyone's going to know anyway. David isn't going to delete that video after you pay him. He's going to keep it as leverage over you forever. You don't know that. I know that men who record women without consent and then extort them aren't trustworthy people. But if you pay him, you'll be paying him for the rest of your life. Elena was quiet for a moment, processing this. Alex, come with me to the police, please, as my husband. I'm not your husband anymore. Legally you are. Not for long. Please, I'm scared to go alone. I looked down at this woman who had destroyed our marriage and was now begging me to help her deal with the consequences. Elena, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to really hear me. Okay. 3 days ago, you asked me for a pause from our marriage. You said you needed space to think about what you wanted from life. I know, and I was wrong. You weren't wrong about needing space. You were wrong about everything else. What do you mean? You said you were confused about whether we were right for each other. You said being with me all the time made it hard to see things objectively. But now I see clearly. Now you see that David was a mistake, but you still don't see clearly about us. I see that I love you. Elena, do you know what I've realized over the past 3 days? What? I've realized that I don't love you anymore. The words hung in the air between us like a physical thing. You don't mean that. I do mean it. I loved the woman I thought you were, but that woman never existed. Alex, the woman I loved wouldn't have asked for a pause from our marriage to pursue another man. The woman I loved wouldn't have lied to me about staying at her sister's house. The woman I loved wouldn't have had sex with her ex-boyfriend 3 days after asking for space to think. I made mistakes. Elena, you made a series of calculated choices designed to have an affair without technically cheating. That's not what I did. That's exactly what you did. You asked for a pause so you could sleep with David guilt-free. When that backfired, you came running back to your safety net. I came back because I realized I love you. You came back because you're in trouble and you need someone to save you. Alex, please. Elena, I want you to get up off your knees and walk back to your car. I won't, not until you agree to help me. Then I'm going inside and calling the police to have you removed from my property. You wouldn't. Try me. Elena slowly got to her feet, defeat written across her face. Alex, if you do this, if you really divorce me, I'll have nothing left. You'll have David. David is blackmailing me. Then you'll have whoever comes after David. There won't be anyone after David. Elena, there's always someone after David. That's who you are. What do you mean? I mean, you're the kind of person who's always looking for something better, someone more exciting, more passionate, more alive. You'll never be satisfied with what you have. That's not true. It is true. And that's why this marriage was doomed from the beginning. Alex, Elena, I'm going inside now. Don't come back here again. Please, if you show up at my house again, I'll call the police and have you arrested for trespassing. Alex, I love you. I stopped with my hand on the door handle and turned back to her one last time. Elena, if you really loved me, you never would have asked for a pause. I was confused. You were selfish. There's a difference. I walked inside and closed the door behind me, turning the deadbolt with a satisfying click. Through the window, I watched Elena stand on my porch for another 10 minutes, crying and occasionally knocking softly on the door. I didn't answer. Eventually, she walked back to her car and drove away. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is David. We need to talk. I deleted the message without responding. 10 minutes later, another text. I have information about Elena you might want to know. I blocked the number. 20 minutes after that, a different unknown number. Alex, this is David Chen. Elena told me about your conversation. I think we can help each other. I turned off my phone. The next morning, I filed for divorce. The papers cited irreconcilable differences, but my lawyer and I both knew the real reason: adultery, abandonment, and a complete breakdown of trust. Elena never came back to my house.